Welcome to this deep dive. When you're physically exhausted, the solution is, well, it's obvious. You just stop moving. Let gravity do the work.
Right. Yeah, the body has a built-in shut-off valve. It practically forces you to rest.
Exactly. But what happens when that exhaustion isn't physical? Like you're lying on the couch, totally still, but your mind is just sprinting.
Oh, yeah, that tight chest feeling.
Yeah, that physical off switch,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work for a heavy soul. So today our mission is unpacking a really fascinating Christian text about this exact kind of overwhelming anxiety. It offers a roadmap for shifting from exhausting self-reliance to a deep spiritual dependence on Christ Jesus.
It's a complete rewiring of how you process stress, honestly.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The text starts with that universal heavy heart, and the default human reaction is usually, I need to fix this, like I need to try harder.
Yeah, the classic bootstrap mentality.
Right, but the source explicitly warns against that. It says to lift up your soul. So is this like trying to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, or is it more like stepping into an elevator? How is this different from just giving up?
Well, what's fascinating here is that it's not passive surrender at all. I mean, it sounds like avoidance, sure, but it's actually an active pivot toward Christ dependence.
An active pivot, okay.
Yeah, so think of it like a camera lens. If you're hyper-focused on the problem right in front of you, everything else blurs out. Lifting the soul is actively changing that focal length.
Wait, really? So you're taking your fears and your dullness as they are without even tidying them up first?
Exactly. You just bring them to Christ. You intentionally refocus your attention.
So you're not actually fixing the fear, you're just breaking that internal feedback loop of your own anxiety.
Precisely. By shifting the gaze upward, you stop relying on your own limited emotional reserves. And the text argues this specific pivot breathes hope into heaviness and, well, courage into fear.
That is huge for the internal stuff. But what about when the chaos is external? Because the text moves from internal heaviness to describing life's responsibilities as this roaring storm. And the instruction is just be still.
Which is tough for a lot of people to hear.
Totally. Because I'll play devil's advocate for a second. If my life is flooding, isn't being still just a poetic way of saying I'm doing nothing while the ship sinks? What does this all actually mean?
That is the trap of how we normally define stillness. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the text is talking about active trust. It's not denying reality.
Oh, like the image it uses of the child sleeping in the father's arms during a thunderstorm.
Yes. The child isn't oblivious to the noise. They just trust the person holding them more than they fear the thunder.
That makes so much sense. It reminds me of being on a turbulent flight. Like if I look out the window, I panic. But if I see the flight attendants just casually pouring coffee, my internal state calms down.
Even though the turbulence hasn't actually stopped.
Right. The external storm is exactly the same.
And that is the dual outcome the text promises. Sometimes the circumstances are calmed, sure. But far more often, it's the heart that is calmed within those unchanged circumstances.
It keeps the external waters from drowning you inside.
Exactly.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Surviving one storm is great, but how do you maintain this long term? This brings us to the third concept, which is abiding.
Right. The text draws a hard line between visiting Christ and actually abiding in him.
Yeah, it's like treating spirituality as a temporary Airbnb versus establishing a permanent residence. Visiting is just, calling emergency hotlines or showing up on Sundays.
This raises an important question, though, because visiting is reactionary, right?
Hmm.
Abiding requires daily walking, meditating, drawing your identity from him. Literally like a branch draws life from a vine.
It's the difference between relying on a battery backup when the power goes out versus just living on the main grid. If you're constantly on battery power, of course you panic when the gauge gets low.
Absolutely. And this matters for you listening because abiding roots your peace in unchanging character, not in shifting feelings or fragile circumstances.
So to summarize this whole journey for you, we're talking about moving from lifting a heavy soul to finding active stillness in life's storms to building a permanent home through abiding.
It's a total paradigm shift from self-preservation to deep trust.
It really is. And I want to leave you with a provocative final thought here. The text insists that a branch draws its life directly from the vine. If your daily peace is a direct reflection of what you are plugged into, well, what is the primary vine you are secretly drawing your identity from in your quietest, most unobserved moments?